I guess we got with us today. Welcome back to the Monsters in the Morning on Real Radio 104.1. I'm Russ Rollins, along with Dirty Jim, Angel, and Carlos. Savannah here today.
That was awesome.
Blog and Molly, and our special guest, Alberto El Patron, who is with Impact Wrestling. I will be there tonight, of course. Alberto will be there tonight. It's free for the public to come check it out at Universal. I know I'm supposed to go out in the ring at like 5:45. So what time should they get there, Ross? Get there about 4:30 or so if you want to get in. And yeah, it's tonight at Impact Wrestling. Got a chance to talk to Alberto a little bit during the break. And, you know, I know that when you said that you were raised in Mexico and you wrestled in Mexico for many years, I didn't know if you would know a lot of the other names in wrestling. So I asked you about my favorite guy of all time, and that's Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. And you said?
Yeah, he was one of my trainers when WWE hired me. When they hired me, they sent me to Tampa, Florida. I was there working for them in FCW, and Dusty was one of the trainers, along with Tom Pritchard, Norman Smiley, and Dusty was always fantastic. He was, he was fantastic to me. He was a great guy. He actually helped me a lot while I was there because it was really difficult for me to come to this country for many reasons. Just I didn't speak the language. I didn't have any friends. I left everything behind.
Wow.
I went from being one of the most popular wrestlers in Mexico to join FCW and just be one more guy in my first weeks.
Yeah.
And it was really difficult. The whole transition from Mexican lucha libre style to the American style, and there was always Dusty helping me and giving me advices of how I could make it to the top.
You know what's funny is I would say almost every wrestler we've interviewed and talked to has a Dusty Rhodes story like that. He helped them behind the scenes. He gave them a gimmick idea. He helped Diamond Dallas Page. He helped Mark Merrow. All these people. He didn't mind helping people out. And when you look at someone like that, does it make you want to help other kids or young guys get into the business?
Oh yes, I'm always doing that. I'm always watching. I try to watch most of the matches when I'm in the shows. Number one, trying to learn something new. Number two, to see if I find the next big thing in wrestling, and if I can help him, giving him a piece of my experience. I'm always down for it.
Yeah, Dirty Jim, question for Alberto El Patron, who's going to be at Universal tonight, Impact Wrestling.
Yeah, you talk a lot about the differences between the Lucha Libre wrestling and the American style wrestling, and of course, you said there was a language barrier when you came to this country to begin with. I mean, doing a promo, being in the ring with the mic has made the biggest stars who they are. The Rock, Stone Cold, Dusty Rhodes is the original Ric Flair. Yes. I mean, have you found that transition of being a talker has been difficult as well, or where are you in that stage of your career?
That's exactly what Dusty Rhodes said to me years ago. Because when I came to this country, all the English I knew was chicken, food, beer, and I think that was it.
That's all we know. I mean,
the reverse.
That's all you need. Really.
That's all you need, right?
It's got me this far, but
that's amazing. That's why Dusty came to me, and he was like, number one, baby, you have to remove that mask. You don't need it. So he was one of the first one mentioning the mask thing, and then he was you have to learn the language.
Yeah,
like you cannot have Norman Smiley doing that translation for you all the time.
Yeah,
and if you want to do something in this country, not just in the business, but in this country, you have to speak the language.
Yeah,
we have people living in this amazing place for years and years, and they never learn it.
Right.
And if you're gonna be in an industry where you have to grab the microphone and give to that audience a message, you have to speak the language.
So Dusty Rhodes helped you learn English?
Yeah. He talked to WWE, and he said, "Okay, we have a really talented guy. His ring skills are amazing. He looks good for the company. You need to pay him his English lessons. You need to hire an English teacher for him. And if we do it, he'll be one of the main ones in the company." And then they did. They started paying my English lessons, and it was because of Dusty.
Wow, man.
That's awesome.
I hear so many great stories about that guy. That's so cool. Yes, Angel, question for Alberto El Patron, who'll be wrestling tonight at Impact Wrestling at Universal.
¿Cómo estás, Alberto?
¿Cómo estás, hermano?
Tranquilo. Now, una pregunta. One question. So we've had Carlos Mencia in here before, and he's told us about doing shows in Mexico, and I figured you being a superstar in your family, Did you ever have to deal with like the narco side of it, like those, because they're fans too, and they want to hang out with you and everything? Any kind of crazy stories with those kind of guys?
Well,
They don't listen.
I cannot. I cannot deny or admit any. Well, you know, it's part of our culture. Of course, those individuals, they love pro wrestling, and especially when you come from
like a family like yours,
from working in companies like WWE, like Impact Wrestling, you become someone. Like I was telling this to Ross in the car. You guys are lucky because you guys have a lot of famous people, actors, singers, athletes, and in Mexico we don't have too many people doing something spectacular out of the country. Aww. We have like 5'10", and I'm lucky to be one of those 5'10". So of course those individuals always call me when I go.
Did they ever mess up a wrestling match, or the wrestling match was sacred? Was it like they didn't mess with that? It was
no,
like
never. No. They respect the lucha libre culture and what it represents.
Hey, when did you take your English lessons? Because I'm sitting here listening to you tell this story, and you sound like you've spoken English your entire life.
Oh, well, you should have heard me when I came to this country.
Really?
Yeah.
Years, a couple years, or what?
No, I've been here 8 years in the United States, and I started taking English lessons after 2 months, 3 months, when they saw that I because you know this is a problem for most of the wrestlers coming from my country to this country to work in the pro wrestling industry. They don't make that transition from one style to the other. For whatever reason, they struggle, and some of them never make it.
Yeah,
right.
And to me, it wasn't that difficult. So once Dusty and all the other trainers saw that I was really learning this style and understanding the way they wanted me to work here in the States, he was like, we need to do something. He needs to speak the language. He needs to grab that microphone, and just like you just mentioned, my friend, you have to tell a story, and that's how you get over.
This is a real technical question that I have to ask you.
Technical wrestling
I don't know how often I'm going to be able to talk to you about something like this. So your uncle was Mills Mascaras, who was, really, really big. So he's your uncle. So if he retires and he wants to hand his mask over to you, his nephew, can he do that, or does it have to be in his bloodline? Does it have to be his son?
He could have done it, but my uncle, he's a really difficult person, to put it that way.
Those 80s wrestlers always tend to be.
Yeah. So, of course, I respect him and love him because he's part of my family, but I try to stay away from him.
Oh, really? Wow.
Well, you can actually see this live in studio right now. We're on YouTube. If you go to monsters.fm and click on the YouTube channel page, you can see Alberto live in studio. A lot of people watching. And somebody actually mentioned in the comment room here that I guess you helped out a lot during Hurricane Harvey in Texas.
Yeah, in Texas. When I was working for WWE, they always had me doing a lot of their programs, the Be a Father campaign, the anti-bullying campaign. And I was always asking them if I could do something on my own, and especially to help my community, the Hispanic community, the Latin community. Not like they were not doing it, but they were focusing in other areas.
Sure.
And after leaving that company,
There's that accent, I got a license.
Yeah, I like to.
He said focus.
I'm focusing as well.
After leaving that company, I started doing it on my own, approaching to amazing people like the Salvation Army.
Yeah.
And those are the ones putting me in the right places and helping me to find people to help here in the States. And in my country, in Mexico, I'm doing a lot of stuff. Like on the 20th, I'm gonna have a wrestling charity show to help kids in need, kids that lost their parents after the earthquakes and back in September last year.
Are you doing that here or are you doing that?
That's gonna be in Mexico City.
How many people will show up to something like that?
This is a funny, crazy story. I was supposed to have only 1,000 people for the first show that we were supposed to do back in November.
Yeah.
But because so many people was calling and so many people showed up, we ended up moving that show to this month on the 20th in a place for 4,000 people. And we're completely sold out. Not just me, but all the other wrestlers. They call me because this is crazy because you would think that people will always. They're always willing to help, but they're not.
Nope.
In the moment you say there's no money, they all run.
Right.
But luckily for
Adios.
me, adios, exactly. But luckily for me, my co-workers or my friends down there in Mexico in the wrestling community, they like me a lot, and they were like, "Hey, if you want to do it, we'll help you, and we won't charge a dime." So we're gonna have that charity show event on the 20th this month for those kids.
That's awesome. Well, listen, tonight it's Universal. It's Alberto El Patron. Many other big stars will be on the bill tonight. I'm going to be there at 5:45. I get to go out in the ring, but go see Alberto. What a pleasure to meet you. When you come back in town, come by and say hi to us. Really nice of you to come in. We appreciate it.
No, thank you. You guys are fun. I'm having a fantastic time right now. and I got up really early this morning after getting here around 1, 2 in the morning. And Ross had to drag me out of my room, but then I'm glad that I came because you guys are fun and you guys know what you're talking about, and you guys love wrestling as much as I do.
You know what? I was probably the first guy on radio in Orlando to ever talk about wrestling. People thought I was stupid when I first started talking about it, and I've been the wrestling guy forever. So it's a pleasure to meet you. An honor. Yes. What do you got?
Yeah, I want to say Jimmy was really excited right there. The
wait
man
till
over
you
there.
hear this.
He was so excited to meet you that just the thought of your name made him react. We actually have audio of this.
He got bubble guts.
Here it is.
So
you're wrestling tonight?
I'm not wrestling. I will be managing.
Who are you managing?
You're wrestling tonight.
I believe I'm managing Albert El Patron.
Did you hear that?
He farted on your name.
He farted on your name.
Go get him.
Open that!
Kick
goddamn door!
I'm just gonna tell you, if you come over here, we're making out. I don't care about anything else. You're beautiful, and I will just rub your chest and lick you.
Thank you for coming in. We appreciate it. All right?
Thank you, guys.
When we come back, it's time for Blog and Molly to bring you the nerdy news. You're listening to the Monsters in the Morning.
Real Radio Orlando on Facebook. Brought to you by Seacoast Bank. See why local is better by visiting Seacoast.